Hey guys, welcome back to Weissworks 1.8T cabby swap part 5, maybe part 6?
I think it's part 5.
Part 5? Part 5. What we in the last video on?
The last video was the rebuild.
Okay, so we pulled the test fit motor out, put the actual engine in that we're going to be running, the fresh rebuild with all the pretty paint and stuff. And got poly engine mounts.
Yeah, it's got BFI motor mounts.
We did the clutch setup is done. The master cylinder is in the Mark III's master cylinder.
Yeah, it's a Mark III VR6 master cylinder, a Mark III VR slave cylinder, and then a fabulous stainless steel braided
line. So that's all in. Piping is either in where it's going to go, or we just waiting on more parts to come in for it. Coolant is all run.
Yep.
Except for hose clamps.
We did leave off with the coolant hoses, so
yeah.
Only thing we were waiting on were the heater core hoses, which there was no company that I've noticed that makes them. So we're just gonna run with the factory ones. I was able to cut the band around them, that whole cassette together, to be able to manipulate the hoses to make those work. So they're fine. They saw all the radiator hoses. The only thing that was missing last time was the turbo piping, which we'll talk about that in this video. So, anything else we didn't talk about? Or yeah, well. From here, we have the new slave cylinder in that we painted black. We have the fabulous line and the Mark III VR6 master cylinder. We will have to cut the nipple on the brake reservoir to run the hose, which it does have the nipple. It's just they pretty much melted the plastic shut from factory. But this is the same reservoir from a automatic to a manual to a 2.0 to a VR. On the heater hoses, again, these are the factory 1.8Ts. We weren't sure if they were going to work or not, but what we did was unwrap them from the factory cassette, which has the boost line that goes down to the bottom of the turbo inlet. Took all that out, took the tape off, took the heat wrap off, and it fit perfectly fine.
So those are stock 1.8T hoses? They
are stock 1.8T hoses. One of them was twisted. We had to twist a little bit to make room, but it worked out perfectly fine. The one thing that we did run into a problem with, which I'm still trying to figure out, this will work, it's just not as clean as I want it to be, is the booster line. We had to use a section of the Mark III cabby, and then everything up here is cut off of a 1.8T. We had to run the check valve, but we needed a straight enough line to get it to the booster and get it to the intake. If it was over here, it's going to run into our heater hose that's coming up to the expansion tank, because we did relocate the expansion tank to the factory Cabrio position. And then, yeah, so we had to move that up top. There is one port we're still working on for the coolant system, which is, I don't know if you can see it on there, but the factory coolant bottles on the passenger side on the Mark IV, there's a coolant nipple down here that comes up around the alternator.
Oh yeah.
To over here where that Y pipe is that goes to the expansion tank over here. What we got to do is either figure out a place to run the turbo coolant feed, or come up with an adapter and a hose that will make this bend to come up from underneath the intake to this. So that's pretty much it for the coolant system. Everything else is ram. We just got to put hose clamps on. The turbo piping is another thing we had kind of did off video. Between all our customer cars, we had to get something done, and I wasn't going to video 5 minutes worth of work. The throttle body to intercooler hose is a regular Amazon, eBay 2.25 intercooler kit. We bought the map sensor bung, had it welded on, and it ran right inside the frame rail. Clears perfectly fine everywhere, straight to the intercooler. The opposite side that comes off the cold side to the intercooler was the one that gave us a bunch of problems. From
you
here,
can see it come in through there. It's pretty dark, but you can see it mostly. And then it comes up.
Yeah, it comes up to here, which this is preferred, but trying to get this to go to the actual turbo lied a problem. So what we found in between all our plethora of 1.8T parts, the car, or Chili's car, the 1.8T that we did the TSI swap on, had a bunch of intercooler stuff on it, and we kept that. So for now it's black, but it will be repolished. But we have a Mark IV pipe, which actually, believe it or not, clears everything. But yeah, the 1.8T pipe actually was perfect for this. We did have to do a little bit of modification, but we can definitely make this work. As like, if you look right here, where the factory N75 valve goes, it's right there against the pipe, so that's not going to work for us.
You can sort of see the nipple coming off down there, hitting the pipe.
Yeah, so our plan of action on that was, there is another port on the intake boot. So here's the N75. We're gonna tuck it. That's another coolant hose. Let's get you back out the way. We're gonna tuck it down here. We'll have to relocate the lines, but it keeps it nice and tight in there. And then the harness, if I recall, the N75 valve, I did not have to cut or splice or lengthen. I was able to pull it back through the harness enough. And that gives me plenty of length for the N75. And then, let's see, what else was there? The diverter valve dump. Yeah, the diverter valve dump was one of the factory 1.8T hoses that comes off the diverter to the steel pipe over here. I cut it, reversed it, and then that'll fit perfectly fine to this nipple. And then, other than that, there's just a couple other small vacuum lines for the turbo system we still got to figure out. And then, let's see. Oh. For this, I mean, in this episode, it'll be buckling this up, and then it'll be, or buckling everything else up underneath the engine bay, well, 90% of it. And then, if all works out, it'll be the shift box, it'll be the down pipe, wherever I put it. Oh, it's up there. Be the down pipe. They welded the 2-liter ABA, they welded the down pipe to the catalytic converter, so all that crap had to come out because, yeah, it was welded. So we had to look for a flange and all that for that. But that's not a problem. And then, hopefully, I'll be able to finish up, get everything done underneath the hood. With the harness and all that, and get this back together. And then the only thing we'll have to worry about aftermarket-wise will be the wiring of the fans, the battery relocation, and then, yeah, the downpipe. And that'll be pretty much everything underneath the hood. So, all right, let's get to it. hose clamps put on, except for the expansion tank. And before I do that, I need to go ahead and finish up the last bit of wiring, because the one hose doesn't come from here straight down to the fitting underneath the flange. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on getting the main harness ran through the upper firewall and get it hooked up. Once we do that, then the expansion tank can go in for good. We did find a flat spot right here past this divot. It's all clear behind the cluster, so we're going to put the hole right there, and hopefully that'll give us enough room. And we are doing it for a 2-inch hole saw. Alright, so we found some universal grommets online. I think we got them on Amazon. They are a 2-inch grommet. We're going to use the 2-inch hole saw, obviously. And then hopefully that'll be enough room. I think I want it over just a tad bit more on this side. Alright, now we're going to have to open the grommet. Alright, next up on the agenda is we have to get the jumper harness in. We got this from Brandon Croka. I'll attach his email down below. This is the second or third harness we have used from him. Great quality, 100% plug and play. It jumps the Mark IV harness to the Mark III fuse box. It comes with the OBD2 port. It comes with the clutch pedal switch. And it also comes with relays to make everything work. Alright, so there's a few wires we have to push through the firewall. And it should be these two right here. Yes. One is the T14 connector that powers up one side of the harness, and the other is for the alternator that goes up to where the starter is on a Mark IV. We have it pulled back a little bit when we cut and splice the harness. So we should have more than enough room to get this all the way up to where it needs to be. Alright, so here's the downpipe. Like I said, we got it from S&P. This is designed to make the 1.8T fit directly into a Mark II and Mark III. I'm not sure if there's a difference between the Jetta and the Golf or Cabby. I know Nick ordered it for a Golf, so it shouldn't be any issues with fitment. But let's get underneath the car and we'll get it installed.
There you go.
Alright guys, Chili's behind the camera. There's not a lot of room underneath this car. Seeing that we don't have a lift. But let's get this downpipe in. Getting somewhere.
Still recording.
Hi guys. Alright, so as you can see, the downpipe fits really well. Perfect clearance all the way around. It does not hit the K-frame, the heat shields. Definitely a good fitment. I would definitely buy one again. Alright guys, I know we're jumping around on this video. We're just trying to get this car done for Helen. I know we just did the exhaust. We're going to kick back into the fuse box and the wiring a little bit. Waiting on parts to get here. As they get here, we'll jump back and forth. I know we got the downpipe done. I know we got the intercooler piping done in this video, and some of the coolant stuff. We're just gonna continue pushing. Let me show you what we've done with the battery wiring. All right, guys. The jumper harness is installed. It plugs right in. These are the two wires that you'll have to actually route underneath the dash. The clutch switch, the OBD2 port. The power wire we ran through the firewall comes through, comes down with the factory harness. It's going all the way down, tucked in the B pillar. Coming up behind the B pillar for the two power wires, the one for the fuse box and then the one for the main battery. Our new ground supply. And we highly suggest putting a circuit breaker in place. Not sure where we're going to install it yet, but there's a circuit breaker, our battery supply, and then our ground. Alright, now that the wiring is done, we'll go ahead and get the panels and everything put back on. Alright guys, that's me a wrap for today's video. I know we've gotten all over the place on this one, but we're just, like I said, trying to get it done for Helen. The next video we'll deal with the fan wiring, the exhaust, the last bit of the intake piping and cooling hoses, and then maybe we'll have the first start in the next video. Alright guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Catch you on the next one.